Butler superstar. That's what's in the group chat. All right, here we are. Goji Berry Tea. Feeling good, feeling great. Feeling great, feeling good. How are you? Welcome into Timeline Tea. I'm your host, the Sam D, aka Sam Dusemay Jr. Okay, there's a lot to get into today. There's a lot of things to go over. There's a lot of tea. How much of it is actually important, I will let y'all decide, but I have a whole bunch of tea at my disposal that we can go over at y'all discretion. Lead off topic, you see Jimmy Butler star power. This didn't occur in my group chat, but apparently in other group chats, this topic is turning things into a frenzy. So we're here to talk about it. Friday Smith talked about it. There's been a lot of tweets about it. So, all right, fine. I'll take the clickbait and jump in. And oh, by the way, there's a game tonight. Tyler Hero allegedly is suiting up. He could be suiting up just to sit on the bench. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Jimmy Butler vowing for the Heat, vows that the Heat are not going to lay down and quit tonight. Spoelstra saying this is the way we want it, the hard way, pause. And Nikola Jokic is talking about buying horses. Hey, you see where his mind is at. It's already in the offseason, win or loss. Nikola Jokic is out here preparing to buy more horses. There's a lot of mini camps and mandatory camps in the NFL, and there's a lot of players who got hit with that franchise tag that are not reporting. One of them is in my very backyard out here in Jersey City. Saquon Barkley talked his talk at a event for a youth camp or youth league, and he let the Giants know what type of time he's on and didn't really throw Daniel Jones under the bus, but wanted to let it be known he's as big a part of the Giants' recent success last year than damn near anybody else. And he's not wrong. Okay. This is an interactive stream, but you're catching this live on the replay. If you're catching this on the replay, the comment section is there for you to use. If you be pulling up here, feel free to talk to the chat, build part of the community that way. Had a good month last month. May was a very good month. If you see the community tab, put some of the stats up there to let people know that we are indeed growing on this channel. So if you have not seen the stats, we do keep the numbers here. Whether it's a good month or a not so good month, I put the numbers up. So last month was a good month. And this month is off to a good start. So, you know, salute to those who have been joining me for a long time. Salute to those who are just now pulling up. Take the journey with me, walk with me. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into it, man. So Jimmy Butler, the star power. Your man's Friday Smith touched on it on his show today, and I guess that's what kicked it off in the group chat. Not necessarily my group chat, but a bunch of group chats. I won't play the clip because of copyright, but, you know, here's what it is, just to sum it all up. Friday Smith says Jimmy is a star, but not a superstar. And I put it right here on his freeze frame because when I got a few texts about whether or not Jimmy, if the question was, is Jimmy a superstar? I gave the face of Jay Will. I was like, why is this a question? This man is down 3-1 in the NBA Finals and more than likely about to get gentlemen swept on up out the paint out there in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. Why are we talking about if Jimmy is a superstar or not? And this is what happens when the NBA Finals has not given you any exciting storylines, when there's nothing salacious, when there's not more Zion stuff to put out there, when there's not more Ja Morant stuff to put out there, when there's not a lot of LeBron tea to throw out there. All right, let's just find something and, you know, let's conjure up whatever we can from the viewpoint of what will get us clicks. And always asking if someone is or isn't a star or, in this case, a superstar will always get you clicks. Because there's going to be people that are on one side, and there's going to be people on the other side. There's going to be people in the middle that are, trying to decide which side to be on. So it is a layup of all questions. You can literally put this to anything. Peanut butter and jelly. Who's the star in the sandwich? Is it the peanut butter or the jelly? And then watch it explode. Like, this is what it is. This is exactly what it is when you just come down to making anything up and turning anything into a topic. And here we have Jimmy Butler. Is he a star or isn't he? Is he actually a superstar? And if anyone knows me, knows that my former fandom is of a team that resides in Chicago and, Chicago Bulls. And I was a Bulls fan during the Jordan era. And sadly enough for me and my emotions, post-Jordan era. And the last bastions of my fandom was when Jimmy was ascending as a Bull with D Rose and Noah and all those guys in that last little run they had. But I mean, to sit here and to decipher whether a guy in Jimmy, who, if we look at his numbers, none of this stuff, even his career, we're talking about someone who has averaged 18 points a game and asking if he's a superstar. When have we ever done that before? In your own lifetime, when have we looked at someone who is a career 18-point per game scorer and asked if they were indeed a superstar? And then when you look at the fact of the matter is that it only took him to get 5 more points per game for him to be in this conversation. And if we're going to give Jimmy, let's play the game, right? Let's assume we're going to call him a superstar. Then where's the slander for Jimmy Butler? If he's a superstar, why is he not getting roasted for being down 3-1 in the NBA Finals and not playing well in it? This isn't LeBron when he used to take all those L's in the finals and he would be doing his job, but he had such, lackluster talent around him that there was nothing he could do. This isn't that. Bam Adebayo has outplayed Jimmy Butler in this NBA Finals. Yet all the slander that I keep hearing about from Miami fans and Miami media is that Bam is the problem. If Jimmy Butler is indeed a superstar, he would be the one catching heat right now, pun intended. But yet I keep hearing about Bam Adebayo, Idris Adebayo. So the question still remains, is Jimmy Butler a superstar? The answer is hell no, because if he was, he would be getting killed like a superstar. He would be getting roasted like a superstar, be getting slandered like a superstar. But none of that is happening because we're talking about Max Strus's inability to shoot, Gabe Vincent shaking the light, Caleb Martin and J. Cole. We're talking about every single other storyline for the Miami Heat, except the fact that Jimmy has come up small in this NBA Finals. And if you really want to keep it a buck, he's come up small since he turned that ankle against the Celtics. What was that, game 3, game 4? He's come up small since then. So if he truly is a superstar, there would not be a need for any hot take debate show to be asking if he's a star or a superstar. I don't ever recall peak LeBron, or how old is Jimmy? Jimmy's what, 30, 31, 33. I don't ever recall 33-year-old LeBron James being asked if he was a star. Steph Curry's around this same age. We're not asking if he's a star or not. We know who the superstars are. Jimmy Butler's not that. He's a great story. He is the epitome of I'm going to outwork you every single day. He's a try hard. That's what he is. He's not a superstar. Superstars, you could just see it. Now, if you want to say he's a superstar for Miami, that's fine. That's like saying, well, Jalen Brunson's the superstar for the Knicks. But if Jalen Brunson walks down the street anywhere, who knows who the hell Jalen Brunson is? And if we're talking about Superstars get noticed everywhere. Look what Jimmy had to do to get noticed on Media Day. This is what Jimmy Butler had to do to get noticed on Media Day. So you're asking, is he a star? Where, or is he a superstar? What type of superstar has to do this for clout on Media Day? What type of superstar for his career averages 18 points a game? What type of superstar doesn't receive not 1 ounce of criticism, even though his team is down 3-1 in the finals where he has not performed well at all? If you want to look at the numbers here, 43%, 37%, 46%. These are mid numbers to below average numbers. So where's the slander here? If it truly is about Jimmy Butler's a superstar, then where are the actual slander? Where's the criticism? Where's the calling him out? Where's any of that? Because I don't see it. In this NBA Finals, he's giving you 22 a game. These are just not the numbers you expect from a superstar, okay? There's levels when it comes to this superstar shit. It's not just what he does. He's the best player on my team, so he's a superstar. Like, no. He's a star in your city. That's about it. Jimmy wasn't the superstar in Chicago. It was D. Rose. Jimmy wasn't the superstar in Minnesota. It was Cat. Jimmy was not the superstar in Philly. It was Embiid. He's the star in Miami. You can say he's even a superstar in Miami. But he himself, Jimmy Butler, despite the Michelob ads and all that type of stuff, he's a star. When you have to resort to this for Media Day, that tells you where you rank. You needed people to know who you were by making a goof, by doing a prank. So you took it upon yourself to do all of this to get yourself in the mix. Superstars don't do that. Now, he could be treated like one in Miami because he's a star of the team. But he is not a national superstar. Superstars are known across the country. The most casual of basketball fan might vaguely know Jimmy Butler, but they know Kevin Durant. The most casual of basketball fan might vaguely know Jimmy Butler, but they know Klay Thompson. I don't know how this is a real topic in a group chat. I don't know how this is a block topic on a leading debate show, but this really doesn't leave that much to talk about. I would love to try to go against this narrative right here, but I can't because it's the most easiest take to have because it's the most right thing. There's no way to argue for. How can you argue for Jimmy being a superstar? I could probably go viral if I were to debate going for Jimmy being a superstar, but I don't even have it in me to make up that type of shit. I just don't. I don't have enough in me to make it up. So that's where we're at with that. I don't know what more people can go back and forth about. I think heat culture is trending towards the point where I believe overall fandom is a mental illness because fan is short for fanatic. And fanaticism is a mental illness, so therefore fandom is a mental illness. Unfortunately, heat culture is trending towards usurping fandom. Like it's going to be worse than fandom. Because if your fandom leads you to believe that Jimmy Butler is a superstar in the National Basketball Association, not just Miami, but in the NBA as a whole, then yeah, heat culture is a mental illness. All right, let's go to the actual game that we saw on Friday. And now we're on the verge of seeing a 3-1, soon to be 4-1 demolishing of the Denver Nuggets to the Miami Heat. It was the Aaron Gordon game. It was the others game. 27 points. Jokic turned the ankle, got in foul trouble, and still gave you 23 and 12. And there's just nothing that Miami can do. They had a chance for the 5 minutes that Jokic was out with the foul trouble, with the fifth foul there early in the fourth quarter, which was a couple of ticky-tack calls. So Scott Foster was doing Scott Foster things by giving Jokic that fifth foul, trying to extend this series so the league could get more ratings, the broadcaster partners can get more money. And unfortunately, even with that 5-minute run of having Jokic on the bench, it wasn't a great night for Jamal Murray shooting-wise, but they just couldn't do enough. Bruce Brown took it over in the fourth quarter. Jeff Green hit a big three. Christian Brown, even though it says Braun, was able to do some things and be productive, and they only really lost 1 point in the time that Jokic was off the floor for those 5 minutes. And that pretty much wrapped up the championship to me. Because if they give you the layup of all layups, we're going to get Jokic in foul trouble, call a couple of ticky-tack judgment calls on them that could go either way, but it goes in your favor. He's got 5 fouls. It's early in the fourth. Michael Malone sits him down. Jamal Murray's having a rough night. Adebayo on those switches was playing great defense. I would have loved to have seen an additional screen to get Adebayo off Murray because the Heat were doing the auto switch thing, ridiculously all night long. But Jamal Murray got stuck with Adebayo on a few possessions in the fourth quarter, especially during that time when Jokic was off the floor, and put up highly, toughly contested jumpers, and it was Brick City. He couldn't get nothing off on Adebayo. So the Heat had a chance. And offensively, and we'll go to the fourth quarter, offensively, no one here could do anything. Jimmy, a couple of shots. Bam took a couple of shots. They ran with this one lineup the whole entire quarter. This was the best 5 that, Spo thought could get him back in the game. No Strus, no Vincent, no Kevin Love. These were the 5 dudes he thought he could throw out there and get some run and crawl back into this series to even it up at 2. Lowry gave you next to nothing. Duncan Robinson, he's playing better, but it's a little bit too little too late. And it always seems to be when the game is out of hand that Duncan Robinson is out here putting up buckets in the fourth quarter. And then you have the enigma that is Bam Adebayo. And if we want to get into the shot chart, and I know I love the shot chart, Bam Adebayo. Oh yeah, let me make sure I have my my zoom in standby. Notice I don't have that. Let's get that ready because we know how we do with the shot chart. There we go. Okay, so let's go get Bam Adebayo. Okay, so you should see a theme here. And the theme is not that hard to figure out. It should be right in front of you as you're looking on the screen. This here is a problem. You have to stop taking these. See what happens when it gets closer? The ratio gets a lot better. The shooting percentage gets a lot better the closer he gets to the rim. What a novel concept. The further away from the rim, even though it's still technically in the paint, Brick City. And Denver is allowing him to shoot these, and he keeps falling for the trap. I called it after game 1. I said they're doing him like they do Russell Westbrook, where they just back up off of him and let him take the shot. Dare him to take the shot. And he's like, I'm so wide open, I got to take this shot. And then Russell's out here shooting, 30% from 3. And the other team is running with the rebound and getting easy transition buckets. They're doing the same thing with Bam. They're daring him to take these wide open, free throw and under jump shots, push shots, floaters, and he keeps taking them up. And they keep being Brick City. Meanwhile, when he gets closer to the rim, he's shooting better than 50%. When he gets closer to the rim, he's shooting better than 50%. But out here at the crib, in a game you had to have, Brick City. Even here, elbow jimmies, Brick City. So, Bam Adebayo, they're forcing him. This is the Denver Nugget game plan. Play everybody straight up. Aaron Gordon has done a great job on Jimmy Butler. And Nikola Jokic, as much as we can trash him for his defense historically, the last couple of seasons, he has gotten at least to I won't say a good defensive level, but he's gotten to an average level defensively. He's never going to be the lockdown defender type. That's just not his game. But there were times where he was uninterested in playing defense. That's not the case anymore. And he is more than adequate right now. And him being more than adequate is apparently enough to stymie Bam Adebayo in the paint. Because Bam is out here putting up these little push shots in their Brick City. But let's go to the alleged superstar, Jimmy Butler. Now, this shot chart looks good, right? The problem is, second quarter, you're not taking enough shots, right? Your team is down big, you're not taking enough shots. Third quarter, pivotal time in the game, you're only taking 4 shots. You're not taking enough shots. Fourth quarter, again, your team is down, you're only taking 4 shots. So, again, we're talking about a superstar. Allegedly, y'all are trying to sell me that Jimmy Butler is a superstar. Where are the superstar shot attempts? Jason Tatum thinks he's a superstar. He's going to get 19 to 20 plus shots up a night. There's no hesitation. The only time he hesitated was when he turned the ankle in the first possession of Game 7. And it took him to the second half, but he still got up about 15 shots. Jimmy's out here doing this conservative 4 shots per quarter nonsense, and I don't know what that's supposed to do. That's not the movements of a superstar. Now you're going to tell me, well, early in the playoffs when Jimmy was healthy, Jimmy wasn't playing like that. Cool story, bro. And while I may believe you, this ain't the Knicks in front of you no more. This is Aaron Gordon, who I talked about in the finals preview. Aaron Gordon has historically given Jimmy problems. How do I know that? Because I used to be a Bulls fan. So I do, Aaron Gordon, no, that's not easy work. I've seen this movie before. He's going to have to work for it, and he has. But if we just want to go to just the game log, let's go to playoffs, right? Can't talk about playoffs? All right, fine. So against when did we could probably guess when he turned that ankle. 16, yeah, game 3. Yeah, game 3. It's been a struggle in terms of shots, how many shots, when to take shots. This hasn't been consistent before this playoff run. 30, 25, 30, 56, 42, 25, 28, 27. That's a hell of a run. And that's with, even missing a game. Missing, what, that game 2? Yeah, game 2 against the Knicks. Like, even when he stinks up the joint, because you get a 19-point performance by your lead dog in a loss. He still played 42 minutes, only took 12 shots. So he has shown you he can have this type of performance. But he normally bounces back. 24, 35, 27. 16, but that was a blowout win. Barely played 30 minutes. But the longer this has gone on, since he turned that ankle, game 3 against Boston, it hasn't really just been fluid. The offense has not been great. 21 shots, that's great. But 5 for 21, that's a problem. Okay? 28 shots, that's amazing. Right? So you're like, all right, good, Jimmy's back. Then the next game, that first game against Denver, only 14 shots. Then you get game 2, in a game where they win, 19 shots, that's great. 39%, that's not great. Game 3, trying to come back to the crib and take home court advantage for real. 24 shots. And he shot it at a respectable rate. But if we really want to get into the numbers of that game, when did the shots happen? And he's in the paint. So, you know, I'm not mad at that, right? He's in the paint. He's doing work. First quarter. Oh, he took a lot of shots in the first quarter. Okay. Second quarter. Oh, took a lot more shots in the second quarter. Third quarter. A lot of shots in the baseline, but the Jimmy's just not falling. Fourth quarter. Hello. And this was when they were coming back in game 3. Okay, so they were coming back in this game. Duncan Robinson helped chip away a lot of the lead in game 3, but they were coming back in this game, and there's just not a lot of shots. So you're telling me this guy's a superstar. You're fighting for your life. Game 3 at the crib, trying to go up 2-1. 2 shots in the fourth. Superstars let themselves be known, whether through their words and actions, or if they're like the Tim Duncan type, purely through their actions. Jimmy is trying to make us believe he's a superstar via his words, that he thinks they're going to win every game just because he says so. That shit don't fly with me, champ. That shit does not fly with me, bro. Series summary. Yeah, let's go ahead. So game 4 really was the Aaron Gordon game, and it was the Bruce Brown game late. And it really just showed how them going 8 deep is enough. Pause. Them going 8 deep is enough. The Heat are out here going 10 deep. It really just, there's just nothing that Spo can draw up. Spo went back to doubling. We haven't seen that much of the vaunted zone that was so mystical and magical in game 2. Didn't see too much of that in game 4. Spo's run out of answers, dog. Sometimes you just have to play the space that you have. If all you got is low spades, you just got to throw them out there and hope your partner can cover you. That's it. Right here, Spoelstra's out here throwing a bunch of low spades and seeing if someone got a jack that can walk. That's it. So I fully expect this to be over tonight. I mean, I don't know why Denver would let this go to 6 at this point. You know, not only getting game 3, that was a pivotal win, but game 4 was even more pivotal because it really took the life out of them. It took the life out of the Heat. You can see it. They're on the bench and they're staring into, the abyss that's in front of them of having to watch yellow and blue confetti come raining down. What is that, the Ball Arena? So, I mean, I fully expect this to be a wrap tonight. I actually hope it's a wrap tonight. Like, I don't want to have to come on here tomorrow and be like, is this the Celtic thing all over again? Don't let us win one. Like, I don't want to. Nah, it's a wrap, dog. Like, we know who the better team is. We know who's got the better players. I won't say Michael Malone has outcoached Eric Spoelstra, but I think the key thing is that he hasn't gotten outcoached by Spoelstra, which is a win in itself. Series is over, bro. The series is absolutely over. So we'll move on from that. I know I gave y'all the Jimmy star power and the Nuggets clinching tonight. Yes to both. Well, no, Jimmy's not a star, but the Nuggets, I think, do clinch a title tonight. Let's jump around the association a little bit more. We talked about the Tyler Hero thing. He can suit up, but that shit don't matter, bro. Like, doesn't matter. For those who want to keep believing that somehow, some way, Mark Jackson is going to be named an NBA head coach again, I vehemently do not think he is, but an unnamed general manager. So again, somebody anonymous claims that John Morant or Zion Williamson would thrive under Mark Jackson's direction. Quote, he needs to be open to be an associate head coach. If he was on the bench in Memphis or New Orleans, he'd be perfect for Ja or Zion. Now, here's the thing. If I'm Mark Jackson, why would I ever accept being an associate head coach? And that's why the GM said he needs to be open, which means he's currently closed to the idea of being an associate head coach. And if I'm Mark Jackson, I don't blame him. Why would you be open to being something that you feel is beneath you? And let's be clear, Mark Jackson is never going to be hired as a head coach again. And based off what you can Google, and there's even more stuff besides that, Blackballed is a term you could use in this case. It's just not going to happen. But I love how every few months we keep getting thrown out there. Mark Jackson. I'm like, well, there's been enough turnover in the GM ranks, in the ownership ranks, to where Mark Jackson, if he truly was green lighted to have another opportunity, it would have happened. And since it hasn't happened, that means he is not going to get another chance. And unfortunately, I'm starting to lean to put Earl Watson in that same category because I don't know why Earl Watson is not getting another opportunity as a head coach in this league. All right, Fred VanVleet has declined his player option and will become a free agent. Some people feel this is going to be a big signing because we got Kyrie out there. We got potentially James Harden out there. And now you have Fred VanVleet. Is he someone you would take over Kyrie or the Beard? He's not going to get the bread that Kyrie or the Beard will want or covet or demand. And you could argue that he could be a better fit or a better player on some of these teams. If you're a Laker, and I know LeBron wants Kyrie, and I understand all the reasons why, do you think Kyrie really is the answer over someone like Fred VanVleet? Now, I know some people will chuckle or laugh at that because it's Kyrie versus Fred VanVleet. Why would you ever put them to? Well, here's the problem. Clearly, that Laker thing only works when it's Bron and one other person. Whenever there's too many other egos, it doesn't work. When Russie had his ego there, it didn't work. When it was, Dwight, the ego wasn't as bad, but Dwight's just being Dwight, and that's how Dwight talked himself out of being re-signed after winning a championship there. But just when it comes to certain players and their egos, that thing doesn't work well with the whole entity that is Bron. So I wonder if Fred VanVleet could be a better fit for the Lake Show than Kyrie Irving. Could Fred VanVleet be a better option for Phoenix than James Harden? Because we know Book and we know what KD can do. Do we really need to bring in another ball-dominant defensive liability in the Beard? Fred VanVleet's more of a shooter. He doesn't have an issue being in a corner, waiting for his opportunity, whereas the Beard likes to operate at the top. Yes, he can do the corner stuff a little bit, but he's not about to be relegated to no PJ Tucker status. So again, could Fred VanVleet be the sneaky upgrade for the Suns or the Lake Show instead of James Harden and or Kyrie Irving? And obviously the thing with James Harden is that he might go back to Houston. Allegedly, he's torn between that and Philly. And then there's the whole temptation of, playing with KD again, this time in Phoenix. So there's a lot to navigate in regards to trying to feel out where who wants to go where and play with whomst. I think Fred VanVleet being out there could be a sneaky fallback option for teams. Like if Kyrie is out here demanding the world and Kyrie's going to hoop at the Drew, he pulled up to the opening weekend of the Drew, and he's vowing that he's going to hoop at the Drew because he wants to, Uncle Drew has to play at the Drew, and he's got the Anta kicks on and all that. So Kyrie is outside. Kai Irvin is outside. But Kai Irvin has been known to Kai Irvin in negotiations. So if you're Pelinka and you're Genie and you're dealing with Bron and Rich Paul pushing that agenda, the Kyrie agenda, but Kyrie is being Kyrie, like, well, how about we just gonna go get Fred VanVleet, 3/4 of this bread and just call it a day, and we could actually save some bread. Kyrie out here wanting 40 plus. All right, we're going to go get Fred VanVleet 30, and he going to pull up, and he'll, play relatively well. He'll be less of a headache, so on and so forth. It's possible. You have to consider that option if you are Genie and Pelinka and the rest of the Bane Trust or Rambuses and all that. You have to consider that. And if you're Phoenix, why not Fred VanVleet? Why are you so, like, could that be, obviously they're trying to move on from the point fraud, right? If the beard indeed either goes back to Philly or goes back to Houston, then why not? Fred VanVleet, D-Book, KD. It's not sexy. Some people will not call it the big three. But in terms of replacing the point fraud with someone who is younger, more capable, more engaged on the defensive end, and it's just not a charlatan of a human being, I think that is a clear upgrade if Phoenix could get that off. So your man's Bill Simmons is at it again. He is out here saying that the Sixers are the favorites to land Bradley Beal in a potential trade. Again, he takes stuff that he hears because he's a name. He allegedly has people in high places or access to people in quasi-high places, and he leverages them for content. So your man's Bill Simmons says, my odds-on favorite is Philadelphia, and I don't even think it's close. Beal and Embiid, they're friends. Because, of course, every NBA player plays with their friends. That's the narrative. Embiid was trying to get him 2 years ago, which I kept telling people on this podcast. So 2 years ago, you've been yelling about Embiid and Beal. Okay, we'll save that. Harden is going to leave, okay? If you're Philly and you're going to lose Harden, and now I have this shooter that's probably a better fit with Embiid anyway, that's debatable. And I have Tobias Harris on an expiring contract, couple future draft picks I could probably throw that I could probably find in my pocket somewhere. So, okay, let's go ahead to Bradley Beal. Saying that Bradley Beal would be a better fit for Joel Embiid than James Harden is quite the take. I don't think people watch Bradley Beal. And this is how I start to, separate people who tell me they know basketball or they watch basketball, is how they feel about Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is one of the most polarizing players you could ever find, right? There's a lot of people who rocks with Bradley Beal, and for good reason. He can go. He's a hooper. He's a bucket. Here's the problem, though, with Bradley Beal. One, he's getting up there. He's heading towards 30. Two, what about his game makes you think is going to translate better as he gets older? And if we're talking about three-point shooting, clearly Bill Simmons has not watched the last couple of years. His three-point percentage has dipped. He got it back up this year, but he also took less of them. So I'm not sure if people are going off of what they used to think of Bradley Beal or if they're just going off of watching Bradley Beal this year. The best player for the Washington Wizards was not Bradley Beal this year. It was Kristaps Porzingis, the Latvian world star. So, if you're trying to replace James Harden, I'm not mad at a Bradley Beal deal, but don't think you're going to get any deeper than you got this year. Like Bradley Beal at this point in his career, to me, and we could debate if he ever was, a true difference maker. I think he's a second or third. Well, no, let's go ahead and keep it a buck. He's a third option on the champion. Especially at this point in his career. You could have argued when he was dropping 30 a game a few years ago, you could argue, he could be a second piece. He could be the number 2 guy. But to me, watching Washington this year, nah, I think he's a third option on a champion. So I understand there's always going to be, names and stars wanting to play together. But I don't see anything substantial here in putting Bradley Beal and Joel Embiid and thinking that's going to bring you any closer to a Larry O.B. I don't see it. Bradley Beal is just not that guy. We could debate if he ever was that guy when it was him and John Wall. John Wall was the clear better player. When it was Beal and Russie was rejuvenated. He breathed some life into Bradley Beal's game. And now with the Latvian world star Kristaps Porzingis was the one that was carrying that team, in my opinion. Bill's going to get his because he's just a bucket, but is he a winning guy or is he just a stat guy? And not that he's hunting stats, but he's a shooter. He's going to get his shots. He doesn't really do anything else that particularly well. Here's immortalized floating around the timeline. The Warriors aren't actively shopping around Jordan Poole. These words are chosen very carefully. Actively shopping around. So what that means is that, yes, the Golden State Warriors are not calling all the teams in the league and saying, hey, Jordan Poole's available. I don't know why anyone would think that the Warriors were actually doing that, but just in case you were thinking that the Warriors are calling every single NBA team and saying, hey, Jordan Poole's available, this report is to tell you that it's not happening. But what it's not saying is that they're not just straight up shopping around Jordan Poole. It just says they're not actively shopping around. Actively shopping is every day we're placing calls. But once a week, could still be doing that. Anywho. And then there's more stuff going on with the Warriors. The Warriors are operating under the assumption that both the habitual nut hitter Draymond Green and Jordan Poole can again be on the same roster and push toward the same championship goal next season without issue. Well, I mean, Jordan Poole got his bag, so he wouldn't mind. And that means if they're going to run it back, that Steph is going to get his way because the habitual nut hitter will get his bag. And that's where the Golden State Warriors lose me. And that's why Bob Myers low-key snuck up out the back door. Because he didn't want to have to be the one to tell the habitual nut hitter, it's time for us to move on. You've done your part. You've gotten 4 rings. We're going to retire your jersey. You're probably going to be in the Hall of Fame, all that stuff. But for 2023, 2024, we can't have you here. Can't do it. Jordan Poole, we just gave it back to. And even though, they're pushing back on the notion of them actively shopping Jordan Poole, clearly that means they are indeed shopping him around. And what makes you think that this team, if they run it back with very minimal additions, that roster is still good enough to win an NBA championship? Steph played well. Was the healthiest guy at the end of the day. And they still couldn't beat a Laker team that got swept by the Denver Nuggets. So what makes you think running that whole squad back is going to fare better than what they did this year, which is a second-round exit? What about running it back with the habitual nut hitter, Clay, Iguodala, Wiggins, that whole core another year older? What makes you think that that core is going to surprise you and do better than what they accomplished this year? Well, because last season they got a chip off? The window was razor thin for them to get that chip, and they snuck through there and they got it. Boston was shaky in the light. Jason Tatum was not ready. Jaylen Brown could not dribble with his left hand. All the stuff that they needed to go right broke their way. Time Lord was a shell of himself because they forced him to play through injuries and it deteriorated his... Anyway, that was their last chip. I can stand firmly today and tell you that is the last chip for that Warriors group. So to continue to pay Jordan Poole money that he did not earn, to run it back and re-up the habitual nut hitter and to extend Klay Thompson would be an asinine thing to do. It would be financially irresponsible thing to do. And to not give Wardell Stephen Curry more help would be a financially irresponsible thing to do. The only move that makes sense for the Golden State Warriors is to find a way to get the Nigerian freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, to the Bay. That's the only way to improve this team. Or unleash the youngins. It's that simple. Either use the youngins to go get the Nigerian freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, or bring back the group, but lessen that load in terms of minutes and unleash the youngins. It's an A or B situation. What is your man Steve Kerr going to do? What is the new GM, which more than likely is going to be the owner's son, going to do? And one day we will talk about the CBA. Today's not that day because we got the NBA Finals and we may be crowning a champion tonight, so on and so forth. But soon come, we need to talk about the CBA. Because as much as I destroyed the point fraud, and deservedly so, CJ McCollum was thought to be a breath of fresh air, someone that knows the system and is very interested into the whole thing of unionizing and, fair rights for players and all that type of stuff. He said all the right stuff. Have you looked at this CBA that they just agreed to? I ain't saying he tricked it off like the point fraud, but it's close. We will get there. We got time. We got time. All right, let me get this lined up. So, a lot of NFL players are not showing up for work, and they're not showing up for work because they ain't trying to sign that franchise tag. And Saquon Barkley has told the New York Giants he does not plan on reporting to a minicamp, and a minicamp that is a mandatory minicamp. And we have some sound here. So let me get this lined up. There he is, Saquon. He was out here in Jersey City. Salute. Holding it down. Let's see. It's a pretty long clip. I think the first answer is the main answer, but we'll see how it goes. We'll let it ride for a little bit here. Saquon Barkley talking about the fact that he will not be showing up for mandatory minicamp and how he feels the running back position in totality is being treated in today's NFL.
Saquon, quick question about the market for running backs. Do you think maybe, in the next collective bargaining or something that the union and the owners can come together and find something that works out better for running backs? Because it seems like a lot of guys are just not being paid at the value that they need to be paid.
I don't know, because that's going to be in 10 years. And to be honest, I love the game a lot, but I don't see myself being on a football field in 10 years.
Here's the first problem. When the league and the players were in negotiations for this last CBA that you're now saying won't be up for renegotiation in 10 years, were you vocal about the problems you're about to extol upon? Were you vocal about those issues during negotiations, or were you just quiet, letting it just go on behind the scenes, and you just were, letting things just happen? That would be a follow-up question for me, but he's not wrong in what he's saying. The next CBA is in 10 years. He will not be in this league in 10 years. So what the hell does he give a damn about the next CBA? Unfortunately, a couple CBAs did go down while he was a player, including this most recent one. Was he vocal during those moments?
It seems like a lot of guys are just not being paid at the value that they need to be paid.
I don't know, because that's going to be in 10 years. And to be honest, I love the game a lot, but I don't see myself being on a football field in 10 years. But what I will say about the running back market and the value of it, what do you think is going to happen? They tagged the top 3 guys. We didn't even get a chance to hit the open market. So when we don't get a chance to hit the open market, it hurts a guy like Miles. It hurts all those other guys. They put the cap at 10. And then when they have the tag, they have all the leverage. And that's the reality of it. But
now here's where I slightly disagree. When you have the ability to not show up, you hold leverage. So yes, he got tagged. Yes, it's on him to come in and sign a tag and get paid the $10 million that was ordained for the running back position under the franchise tag. However, If you truly feel you are underpaid and you deserve more money, you can always hold out. Employees walk out, employees go on strike, employees do all types of things as a collective to let their employer know they are not happy. Now, I know for people that make only, thousands of dollars a year, they can understand why a millionaire would feel like they need to do the same type of maneuvers as someone who makes $40,000 a year. Unfortunately, that's what it comes down to, because at the end of the day, Saquon Barkley is just an employee of the National Football League and the New York Giants. So if he is unhappy with his contract, he needs to complain and make his grievances known to the New York Giants in the NFL. So he does have leverage by making his opinions and thoughts known. Now, he might think he's doing that with this interview. I would like to let him know he needs to do a lot more than just this if he thinks the New York Giants, which is one of the most conservative organizations, despite being in the liberal north in the entire league, that this is not just going to happen overnight just because he went out and talked for 2 minutes in a media availability for his Hope Foundation.
There's a personal side of it too. There's a human side of it too. And going off back to the question what Kim said, how I felt like that, their dimension, what I've done since 2018, I'm not saying that, but everyone will talk about the running back market and this and that and the third. Every team is different. Like everyone, there's a thing that goes up, and I think you mentioned it before about, quarterbacks in the Super Bowl and how many rushing yards, the top rusher. But every team is not like every team. Pat Mahomes is a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time MVP, and like this is not everybody have Pat Mahomes, and this is no knock to Daniel Jones. So don't even try to.
It is a knock to Daniel Jones. You're saying he's not Patrick Mahomes, and you're not lying. And I think Daniel Jones knows he's not Patrick Mahomes. I don't know why you have to preface this with don't try to make this into it like dogs. Patrick Mahomes is a million times better than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones knows it. Patrick Mahomes knows it. And you and every other single Giant in that locker room and in the front office knows it. Because that's why he went out here and wanted 160 mil. And they decided to give him 160 mil. But it was nowhere close to the Dak Prescott money. It was more in line with you're only going to get 51% of your money guaranteed. So yes, you can say Daniel Jones is not Patrick Mahomes.
Flip like that. And then you look at the Eagles who play Jalen Hurts, a great quarterback. That team is amazing, but every team is not the Eagles. Every team don't have that much talent. And when you come to my
So low-key, he's saying the Giants don't have enough talent as the Eagles. And again, he would be true in saying that.
Situation, come to me personally, I feel like that I helped our team a lot. I feel like not only on the field, but off the field. I feel like as a leader, I feel like obviously there's a conversation of my numbers going down. I think there's a whole lot of other stuff that happened to play as NFL, We were a one-dimensional team in the beginning of the season. We were running the ball. We have a great coach. We played Detroit Lions. They came in, bust that ass, stopped me. We had to switch it up, and we have a great coach with Days and with Cav, and we had a whole new game plan. We came out and found a way to get the job done and make it to the playoffs. But going to the running back market, when you talk about the running back, no, I don't agree with that. I think that it's not fair because I don't think Tennessee Titans is a great team, but Derrick Henry's one of those guys on those team. St. Fran's a great team, but Christian McCaffrey's one of those guys on the team. Josh Jacobs, the list go on and on. And I think when you talk about the New York Giants, I think even Pierce came out and said it. I have a lot of respect in this league, and I think that's how it should be viewed.
All right, so Saquon's doing a lot of talking. Basically, F you, pay me. I'm him. Don't forget that I'm him. And if you forgot that I'm him, let me remind you that I'm him. But the problem is you're playing in the worst time in NFL history to ever be a running back. This is absolutely the worst time in the history of the entire sport existing to ever be a running back. With all the payments that we've seen, all the money being thrown around, the streaming numbers that are coming in, the gambling numbers that are coming in, and they're all being funneled to this pool that could be now given to players. It is at this time that it is the absolute worst time ever to be a running back. That has to suck. It has to. And let me see if I can pull up the spot track numbers on the position. Because he mentioned King Henry, and what he's not mentioning is that King Henry probably is going to be playing his last year in Tennessee for the same reasons why the Giants don't want to pay Saquon Barkley. But it fits his narrative right now. So you go with it. All right, let's go ahead to the screen here. All right, so Tennessee Titans, this is running back spending, cap allocation, right? Active roster cap. So, of course, the Titans have the highest cap number because they have Derrick Henry. Then we had the Browns at Nick Chubb. Then we had the Raiders, even with Josh Jacobs. Bengals with Joe Mixon. Chargers with Austin Eckler, although Eckler would want more money. Josh Jacobs wants more money. Then we have the Giants and Saquon. Saquon clearly wants more money. Dallas Cowboys, Zeke is gone, but Tony Pollard would like some more money. Saints and Kamara. Green Bay with Aaron Jones. Like, you can go through the rosters here. Let's see who spends the least. Well, of course it's the Bears. Of course it's the Bears who spend the least on the position. Of course it is. Not a lot of good teams here that spend the least on it. Like Kansas City, you know why they spent the least on it, because they have Mahomes and they have Kelsey. Ravens, they just rebuilt the whole goddamn team. But J.K. Dobbins is a running back that's on a rookie deal, so he's cheap. Steelers also have a young running back on a rookie deal. Broncos, same thing. Like, so you see the teams that are in the mix that are always perennially good have young running backs. Or if you're the 49ers, you're able to get McCaffrey out here for the low. But let's get into the actual, like, positional spending, sure. But I want top salaries by position. All right, let's go back to position payrolls, or just contracts. I can't believe the El Saudi rankings by position. Okay, all right, by position. Okay, so here's the problem, right? Nick Chubb, all these guys you could argue are the best in the league. I mean, really, it's probably just between Chubb and Derrick Henry. But the fact that this number is 10 mil kind of lets you know that that number, when we compare it to wide receivers are double. Amari Cooper is making double the money of Nick Chubb. Is that fair? Is it fair for Amari Cooper to be making double the money of Nick Chubb? Okay. Corey Davis is making the same amount of money as Saquon Barkley, as Derrick Henry, as Nick Chubb. This is where, if you're Saquon and you're trying to battle and you're in negotiations, you're like, yo, dogs, Corey Davis is making the same bread as me? No. That has to be a typo. That has to be a problem that needs to be rectified. But if you're really looking at it, like, yes, that's a real thing. Corey Davis is out here making more bread, or making similar bread to the top three running backs. Is Corey Davis even a top 25, 30 receiver? Yet he's somehow making the same money as the top three running backs in the league. Like, this is kind of embarrassing, bro. Now, Devonta Adams, we know his contract has a lot of roster bonuses. So, yes, his base salary is this, but we know he's making way more than this, right? But you see some of the names here, and you're like, yo, dogs, how did we get here? But I think the Corey Davis and even Calvin Ridley, low key, Calvin Ridley and Hollywood Brown and Cortland Sutton making more money than the top 3 running backs, that's hella problematic, bro. Absolutely, positively hella problematic. And it's going to become a thing where you need to navigate. If you're the NFLPA, how do you fix that? How do you rectify that, right? How do you get that to a better position if you're the NFLPA? Because clearly the league has devalued running backs. The league by itself has decided we're not going to use running backs in the traditional way. No running back, unless you're Derrick Henry or maybe Nick Chubb and occasionally Saquon, y'all are not going to get the 25 plus carries you used to get back in the day, the 25, 30 plus carries. That's not happening. And I think ultimately we need to distinguish, even though they're not used in the same manner, is their value half of Amari Cooper? Like, if that's what we're talking about, if we're really talking about the essence of losing carries, and it's just carries, doesn't mean you're losing touches, you're losing carries, okay? Because running backs are asked to catch the ball, maybe not Derrick Henry so much, but in regards to Chubb, he catches screens. Saquon's definitely part of the passing game. Josh Jacobs is definitely a part of the passing game as well. Mixon, Eckler for sure. That's why Eckler wants more money, because Eckler's like, look, you're going to give me 6.2 mil, right? But you got me out here catching all these passes like I'm a wide receiver. So you're going to have to give me some receiver money too. But the Chargers are like, nah, dog, you're a running back. And it's like, well, shit, I can't win. You're not even going to give me the bread as a running back. And even if you do give me the bread of the running back, it's not that big of a raise. You're going from 6.2 to what, 11 mil at the highest? So I get a $4 million raise when, if I was viewed as a dynamic pass catcher, I could be out here, maybe I could get somewhere between Cooper Kupp and Mike Evans. Maybe I could get somewhere between 13 and 15 mil. I mean, if Corey Davis is getting 10.5 mil, if I'm Austin Eckler, you damn right I want 12 to 15 mil. I'm way more valuable to any team than Corey Davis. How is Corey Davis more valuable or should be paid on the same wage scale as Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Saquon, I'll throw in Tony Pollard, and all those other guys? Josh Jacobs, like how? The money doesn't make sense. This is hella problematic. And I'm glad Saquon is saying something, but he's got to stand 10 toes down on it though. And I don't know if the players of today will stand that firm and stand that tall. Will Saquon? I don't know if Josh Jacobs has reported either, or Tony Pollard. If they group together and say, yo, the three of us need to stand down and hold out because the franchise tag for our position is so out of whack that Corey Davis can make more money than us, that's what needs to happen. At least two of these three are top-tier running backs. I think Josh Jacobs, with his performance last year, leading the league in rushing and playing the way that he did, not only did he earn a real contract, but he also earned the respect of, okay, you're one of the top 5. And running backs are still game changers. Where's McCaffrey on this list? Is he not considered a running back? Is he listed as a wide receiver? Like, where? Wow, shit, he's down here, but his contract's backloaded, right? Or he's got the roster bonus stuff. McCaffrey, let's see. Oh, wow. McCaffrey's not making no real money until next year. And even then, he's getting 11 mil and 12 mil. Christian McCaffrey jumps up to just barely beating Corey Davis next year. That's despicable, bro. That's despicable. Again, the NFLPA has been horrific my entire life. But the fact that this positional stuff has gotten to the point where running backs, the top of the top, are being out-earned by Corey Davis, who, if we really had to sit and write it out, probably isn't even a top 20, top 25 wide receiver. That's despicable. That is absolutely despicable. On no planet should Corey Davis be able to out-earn Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, and Nick Chubb. On no planet should that happen. But thanks to the NFLPA, here we are. That's bad, bro. That's brutal. I feel sorry for those dudes. I really do. Saquon, you know, I haven't agreed with a lot of the stuff Saquon has done. He's been oft injured. Some people debate whether he should have even been taken so high all them years ago. But you can't deny his skill set and his ability. And when he's healthy and he's given, you know, a fair chance at the line of scrimmage with, you know, a passing game that can at least not be loading up with 8, 9 dudes in the box, he's performed. He's performed. And the fact that Corey Davis is walking around earning more bread than him is really egregious to me. Really, really egregious. I mean, look at all these running backs. Aaron Jones, how much money he getting? His money don't kick in until next year. Again, these backloaded contracts. These backloaded contracts. And they could get out after this year. He might not even get this 11 mil. They can get out. He got a signing bonus, so he's got total guaranteed. So he gets, okay, so is that how they're doing it with running backs? They just give them the signing bonus money, and basically all bets are off after that? Because if his total guarantees is a 4-year, $48 million deal, and the total money that's guaranteed is just the signing bonus, that's a lot of funny money, bro. And God know how I am about funny money and all these incentives and these bonuses. That's really egregious, bro. Super egregious. But they're saying he'll get a 8.5, basically $8.5 million restructure bonus. Also, they had to move some of the money around. Even with this contract, they had to move some of the money around. They had to create more funny money for this contract. Bruh, I hate the NFL on these contracts, man. I really do. I really do, man. It's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Okay. I'll just check the timeline real quick before we head up out of here. But that's really bad. I feel like we're ending on a sour note. Oh, the Patriots have waived James Robinson. God damn, Belichick saw enough of him that quick. Damn. Couldn't even make it to actual training camp. I wonder what's the reason. That included no guaranteed money due to health concerns. Also, he's still hurt. Okay, so he's hurt. That's how I read that. Robinson was signed to a 2-year deal this offseason that included no guaranteed money due to health concerns. He's now subject to waivers and will be a free agent if he clears them tomorrow. Okay, so he's hurt. Copy that. Let's see. I don't see too much else going on. There's some D-Hop stuff. There's a D-Hop video on this channel where I broke down the top 5 teams that were on his own wish list. And he's visited the Patriots. He has visited the Titans. Neither one of those teams were on his wish list. So he might be in that stage where it's like, damn, dogs, I said the Chiefs. I even put the Eagles out there. Like, he put a lot of top tier teams out there, and now he's had to visit Mac Jones and Malik Willis and Ryan Tannehill. Sorry, DeAndre. So one exec said Hopkins would get between 8 and 10 million on a 1-year deal. Another said that if this was March, he would give him 18 on a multi-million-dollar deal. So, and wasn't there a report last week that said that they wouldn't even give D-Hop more than 2 mil? Like, some people are really down on D-Hop and how much he actually has left. We'll see how that goes. I think we're pretty much good there. Let me go to NBA Central, make sure we didn't miss anything. Ooh, okay. The Pelicans are expected to pursue the 2nd or 3rd overall pick in hopes of landing Scoot Henderson. Oh, does this mean Brandon Ingram to Portland? This screams to me Brandon Ingram, young Reaper, to Portland. Because if you recall, Portland, when they got the pick, they said they want to put an elite wing next to they want to put an elite wing next to Damian Lillard. That was the plan. When they secured the 3rd overall pick and everyone went crazy saying, oh, wow, Scoot with Dame. They said, hold up. Portland might leverage this pick to go get help for Damian Lillard if they indeed do keep Damian Lillard. Now, I've been on record saying trade Dame. I got a short on this channel right now that came out this morning to say trade Damian Lillard. I'm not the GM of the Portland Trail Blazers, so clearly they're not listening to me if they're going to give up this 3rd overall pick for potentially Brandon Ingram. But that's a real thing. Does this mean Brandon Ingram could be traded to the Portland Trail Blazers? Because the Blazers had been adamant about adding an elite wing to pair with Damian Lillard. Young Reaper, a.k.a. Brandon Ingram, is an elite wing. Now, how much better does this make Portland? Truthfully, as much as I love Young Reaper, not much better. I still think they should just trade Dame and be done with it. But if the plan is to get an elite wing and you're going to give up the chance to draft Scoot Henderson, but you get Brandon Ingram in return, I see it. I understand it. I just still don't like it. Let's see what else we got here before we wrap up. Oh, okay. We're doing the whole thing of Jimmy Butler and the star power thing. Is Jimmy Butler a future Hall of Famer? So we went from earlier today, we led off the stream with, is Jimmy Butler a superstar or just a star? Now it's gotten to the point with, is Jimmy Butler a Hall of Famer? He's got more All-Star appearances than Tim Hardaway and Reggie Miller. He has more All-NBA appearances than Reggie Miller. He has averaged 20 points more than both Reggie Miller and Tim Hardaway. He's been named All-Defensive more times. Just if he would have only been named once, it would still be more than Tim Hardaway and Reggie Miller. And he's been to the finals more than both of them combined. Here's the problem. Reggie Miller shouldn't be here because Reggie Miller shouldn't be a Hall of Famer. Reggie Miller is a fraudulent NBA Hall of Famer. Reggie Miller is a Hall of Famer because of the few moments he had against the Knicks. He's had Hall of Fame moments, but not a Hall of Fame career. You played in the era of Jordan. You never beat him. You then played in the era of Kobe. You never beat him. You were never the best shooting guard the entirety of your career, and you played damn near 20 seasons. You did one thing really well, and that's shoot the ball from three. But if we really want to get into a deep dive of Reggie Miller, how many threes a game you think Reggie was taking? Oh, can't spell today. Reggie, I hate it had to be you, but somebody got to get this smoke. So at his peak, okay, He's taking 6 threes. We'll give him 7. 7 threes a game. Now, you're going to see this percentage. You're going to be like, yo, Sam, look at that shit, man. He's 43%. 43%. Cool. Playoffs. Seeing a lot more 30s now than 40s, right? Seeing a lot more 30s now than 40s, right? And again, I'm not here to shade Reggie per se, but this man, to me, when I was watching him in his prime, by the way, I never thought I'm watching an immortal player. I thought I'm watching a good player, great shooter. Like, you see the shooting numbers. The shooting numbers are great. The attempts would just be average today. 5, 6 threes in 1996 is like Steph shooting 15 threes a game today. Right? However, in this era of limited possessions, you weren't even getting 100 possessions back in 1996, 1997. So the usage rate, I would, do we dare do the usage rate on Reggie? Wow, I would think it would be higher. The years he's putting up 6 to 5 threes, his usage rate is below what would be a starter in today's NBA. Today's NBA starter as a number 1 option, you're looking at a 30 usage rate. That's my benchmark of what I consider whether someone is a high usage rate or lower. If you're a number 1 option, you're in that 30 and up category. Reggie Miller in 1996 is a 25, 26 and 95. Reggie Miller's not a Hall of Famer, man. Like, it's just some people you just know, you just watch them, you're like, yeah, this guy's really good. But, now Tim Hardaway, to kill a crossover is a Hall of Fame move. I don't know if Tim Hardaway was a Hall of Fame player. Right? And this is a guy that was a real point guard. So you don't really get caught up in the points as much, even though when Run TMC was killing, he was doing you for 23 and 10, 22 and 10, 22 and 11, excuse me. That knee injury is not talked about enough of how that really stopped his trajectory. He missed a whole year and still came back and gave you 20 and 9, but he was not the same dude. He was not the same dude. And then they got rid of him the next year, sent him down to Miami. And then his game really slowed down because of the style that Pat Riley was trying to play with him and Zoe and Mashburn and PJ Brown. So Tim Hardaway, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer either. But if you're going to put Reggie in there, then I guess you have to put Tim Hardaway. But if we're putting those two guys in, then I guess we kind of have to put Jimmy in there, right? And that's my problem with the NBA Hall of Fame, or excuse me, the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, is that they've allowed in too many dudes that were just names. Reggie Miller's a name. To me, he's not a Hall of Famer. Tim Hardaway was a name. He had a great crossover. Killer crossover is one of the greatest things ever. Helped revolutionize and evolutionize the game. But not a Hall of Famer, dog. But anyway, I'll leave y'all on that note. During this summer, y'all will definitely get content with me where I will be kicking people out of the Hall of Fame. That's the thing that I do on the ECMD podcast. I will most certainly be bringing it to these YouTube streets. So if you want to get locked in for that type of content, make sure to subscribe, because we will be having some fun with some of the stuff that I've been doing over the years that I've kind of like locked into. We will be doing that in visual form here on this channel. So be locked in for that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank y'all so much for pulling up today. I think the NBA Finals will be over tonight. I'll be here 4 p.m. Eastern no matter what happens tonight. So we'll either be celebrating the Denver Nuggets clinching a championship, their first ever, or we'll be talking about why did the Denver Nuggets allow this heat culture thing to breathe some air back into the lungs tonight? So on that note, I am the Sam D. You have been watching Timeline T. I'll check y'all tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on this channel. Peace.